So listen here, I know that there's tons of us that are probably brand new to Nearpod, and that is exciting. That's wonderful. But I'm also seeing there's so many of you guys that love Nearpod and are already Nearpod users. So those of you who are Nearpod users and you feel comfortable being a Nearpod student today because you already know the Nearpod magic, which means you already know that Nearpod's best when interacting with others, right? So go ahead, if you want to join me, I would love if you guys join my Nearpod lesson. It's interactive, but you do not have to. It's definitely optional. You can just sit back and just watch and soak in. But what you if you want to join the Nearpod lesson as a student, you can go ahead and open a second tab. As you can see, I've got two different windows here. I've got my teacher window right here on the left, and I've got a student perspective window on the right. And if you want to join me, feel free to go to nearpod.com/student. Nearpod.com/student. Awesome. No need to if you don't want to, but by all means, I definitely would love to have some people in there as it's more fun to experience the Nearpod magic than to watch it. Awesome. And then what you're going to do is I've got this code right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy the code. The code is SELWV. Social Emotional Learning, West Virginia. All right, so go ahead. I'm going to copy that in and I'm going to put it in the join section of my student perspective. When I click join, it's going to naturally populate my name, but by all means, you enter in your name, or you can enter in, if you want to be incognito, enter in your favorite celebrity name, whatever one you want. And once you're in, now what you're seeing, again, that code is SEL, Social Emotional Learning, West Virginia, WV. Awesome. Love it. Thank you guys. I see Kim in there. Thank you guys for supporting me. Awesome. Perfect. That's all we need. So, we've hit right now my maximum. This is not going to be an issue for you guys. But for me right now, just because of my specific Nearpod lesson, I've got 200 people in, which is perfect. All right. So here we are. So what we're going to see is, again, I was a former teacher. So just to give you, I know, Stephanie, I'm sorry. Don't you worry though. We've got some really great freebies at the end where you can experience this with your students and you're going to love it. So a little background about me. My name is Marcella Labrador. I am a Nearpod brand ambassador. And I'm so excited to introduce Nearpod to you today. It's awesome, and you're going to see all this Nearpod magic and why so many people love it, including myself. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that's biased, you work for Nearpod, but I do want to let you know that before I worked for Nearpod, I was a former high school Spanish teacher, okay? So I'm a former high school Spanish teacher. Before being a former high school Spanish teacher, I was a professional development specialist helping schools and school districts implement educational technology in their curriculum and in their plans. So then that brought me to Nearpod. So we're going to explain what Nearpod is, and trust me when you read that I, as a former teacher, do wonder often how I taught without this platform. So as we keep going, a quick agenda, an overview of what we're going to discuss here today. If it didn't work, don't you worry, guys. It's just because I have a limit. I put a limit on there, but you don't have to have the limit. And I am at my 200 people. So no worries, and just observe and you will still experience it. No problem at all. As over here is the student side on the right, and over here is the teacher side. Now, here's our agenda. We're going to kind of figure out your needs analysis. What do you guys need when it comes to planning for 2020 and 2021? Also, we're going to talk about how we can make every single lesson interactive and engaging. We're going to talk about how we are flexible with technology landscapes as we're device agnostic and integrate with many LMSs. And then lastly, we're going to actually experience a very, very modified, shortened down 10-minute, because we only got 20 minutes today, science lesson. And when we are going through that science lesson, I really want you at the forefront of your brain to think about how you can really incorporate the 3 dimensions of science, disciplinary core ideas, science and engineering practices, along with cross-cutting concepts in any of your lessons through Nearpod. And then lastly, you get a freebie gold license for you and a freebie vocabulary light license for you as well. So I love this quote because this quote is so relevant for what we have been through. Can I get a hallelujah? I mean, gosh, March hit and all of us were just packed up our classrooms in 2 hours that we were given, and then had to go home and figure out distance or remote learning independently. And we have never done it before. And so here, I love this quote because it says, great learning is driven by great teaching, regardless of method of delivery. Sometimes I just empathize with you educators. I commend you for all your hard work, because I'm sure that the last couple of months you've been tirelessly working and you don't know if what you're doing is even working, right? You don't even know if your lessons are being impactful, if your students are even logging in, joining in, getting data. And so with that, that's where Nearpod is here to help. We are that solution to help you guys receive that data that you need for data-driven instruction, to be able to get those interactions even though you're virtual and you're no longer in a traditional classroom setting. And so regardless the method, Nearpod is here to help, and we're gonna help you no matter what. And so the reasons why we are able to be so flexible and versatile is because we have 2 ways to actually launch a lesson. We have 2 ways to deliver lessons. We've got a live teacher-paced synchronous lesson, which is what we're doing right now. Every time I click these little arrows, right, it switches on your guys' device and on my student side as well. I am the teacher, I am setting the pace, and it is synchronous together, whether we're in a traditional classroom setting or we're using a web conferencing tool like Zoom. But on top of that, we also have student-paced asynchronous lessons, which are super wonderful as well, right? Sometimes all you want to do is not sit on Zoom for 8 hours. You'd rather just give a lot of student-paced lessons to your students, have a due date, and then let them submit their responses by that due date, and then use that data for your next week's instruction. And so we do both. Whichever way is best for you or for your students, as you know your students best, we support you. And then of course, we want to make sure that we're meeting your needs. So go ahead, and if you're in my Nearpod lesson, you know how this Collaborate board works. With that being said, when this decides to load, we've got a Collaborate board here. And what that means is you guys it's the old school parking lot, which is really fun. I'm going to close out this. Oh no, here we are. Okay, there we go. We're working on it. I'm going to go a little bit ahead as it took a while to get there. Okay, here we are. Whew, made it, my internet. So what this is this is the old school parking lot, where maybe in a traditional setting, I know I did this as a teacher, I'd give my students Post-it notes, and then we'd have nice little posters, and then it's parking lot style. You write your answer and you go post it on the question, right? You post it on the question. Well, this is an electronic version. And so here, go ahead and type what you would like. As a teacher, I can share as well. Engaging students has been hard virtually. And I can post, and right there I'm seeing that I am seeing Shayna, thank you, Alyssa, thank you, Anita, thank you, and we're all collaborating together, even virtually, from all over the world or nation, right? Which is amazing. Go ahead and throw out a like if you see something that you can relate to. Assessments are hard, formative assessments are hard, exciting, engaging lessons are hard, interactions hard. I love that. You guys are doing wonderful. And of course, I'm seeing your guys' name, but if we wanted to make sure that it was a safe space and it was anonymous for our kiddos, even the backseat kiddo who's usually in class never raises his hand because he's shy or timid, you can actually hide names. So I'm going to go ahead and hide names, and you're going to see that now it's all anonymous. We're all collaborating together, and it's completely anonymous. So we're going to keep it moving for time purposes. But now that you've seen our Collaborate board and how it's so engaging and interactive, we want to show you how we can make it more engaging. So we actually provide 9 different means of check for understandings or formative assessments, from polls to quizzes to gamification to Collaborate boards to matching pairs to fill in the blanks. We've got it all for you, and you're going to get that real-time data in, again, real time. But on top of that, we also have really fun media. Videos from YouTube. We have a YouTube integration that allows you guys to just insert a YouTube video without the fear and the anxiety of what's coming next, right? We all know, us teachers, whoa, we have to run back to our desk to make sure we pause that YouTube video before anything inappropriate comes. We have an integration that's a safe search with Google, so you can have students Googling images without having anything inappropriate happen. So again, we've got tons of partnerships with top publishers such as Phet Simulations for that engagement, Desmos calculators, iCivics, CodeMonkey, everything that you can think of when it comes to STEM. We've got most likely some type of partnerships or integrations with them to make it engaging and interactive. And then on top of that, Besides all of the real-time data we're getting, we want those post-session reports. We want that information for afterwards we can go back to, right? So we also have post-session reports that you can always pull up and download for individual students or as a whole class, cumulative submissions as well, so that you can definitely use that for your engaging and interactive instruction that you were planning for. Now, with that being said, how do we use Nearpod? Do I have to create within Nearpod? And the answer is no. So with these integrations, some of our integrations are with PowerPoint presentation and Google Slides. So if so many of you guys are actually very familiar and comfortable with using Google Slides, what that means is that you can go ahead and still create your content in Google Slides for the upcoming school year, but you can enhance it by putting those fun interactions and formative assessments to get real-time data in your Google Slides presentation using our Nearpod add-on. So on top of that, besides creating your own content and enhancing it with Nearpod interactions, you can also choose from our Nearpod lesson library, where we have created over 7,500 standards aligned K through 12th grade lessons in partnership with a lot of great partners like Phet and Desmos. So here we are, we're gonna do a really modified lesson, again, about 7 minutes left on our solar system. Now, we've already experienced the Collaborate board, so what I want to show you is instead of using the Collaborate board as a bell ringer right now, just envision and pretend we've already done it. I had a bell ringer talking about what we know about the solar system, but now I want to really bring that real life context to my students, even virtually. Now we've got virtual reality field trips where we have taken our students to Mars when discussing the solar system. We have over 350 virtual reality field trips that you can choose from as we partner with 360 cities. And so again, I was a foreign language teacher. This would have been so amazing if I could take my students to Machu Picchu or take them to Malaga, Spain, right? So again, using these virtual reality field trips to enhance your lessons and give your students that real world context and experience, even when quarantined, even at home, it's still okay to bring the outside world, and it's still feasible to bring the outside world experience into the classroom walls. All right? Awesome. So now we've got a quick quiz. Go ahead. I know we're science teachers. I know that this is probably something you want to get completely right, but don't worry about that. Just start clicking away. I'm going to be a student over here, and I'm just going to start clicking A. I want A every single time. Just click away. I want to show you, and I'm actually going to show student names, not because I want to show who's got it right or wrong, but mainly because I want to show you the real-time data on the teacher end that I am receiving. In real time, I'm seeing all you science teachers. I love it. I went with A. No one gave me the answer to B, but I'm seeing all of you guys are getting it right, B. And then we've got our second question. Some of us, oh, maybe we didn't get it right so much, and that's okay. That's just a really great point for me as a teacher to identify, ooh, my little kiddos didn't understand question number 2. What was question number 2? I can click on it, I can see the question and the correct answer, and I can know, I'm gonna pivot. So you might ask to yourself, how do you pivot? You can pivot by adding an activity up at the top on the fly. No need to recreate your deck or anything like that. You can just pivot and ask an open-ended question. Okay, what exactly did you not understand about question 2, and how may I support? Or you can put in a true or false question, or add in a URL to a supporting web page that supports students learning and growing as a reteach or as a deep dive. And then the coolest part about this is not only am I as a teacher getting real-time data, but I can share out results to my students. And then in real time, my students are now getting their immediate feedback, which is so important, right? As a former teacher, I know my kids would take an exam or a quiz in period 2, and then period 3, they'd come to my desk and ask if it was already graded, and it wasn't graded, right? That would take a couple of days for me to grade 180 high school exams. So now they're getting that instant feedback, and that's so crucial to them being able to actually learn from their mistakes and then continue on in their learning. And then the funnest part, which is not a real word, the most fun part, is the Phet simulations that we provide. So here, what we're doing, this is a virtual lab. We partner with Phet Simulations. You can add any of these Phets to your already pre-existing curriculum, lessons, content, or you can use any of the lessons we have, like this one on solar systems, that have already implemented them. And this is a great way for as students to really identify and play around and learn at their own pace by exploring, right? We want to really think about those critical thinking skills. We're engaging, we're reflecting, we're exploring on our own, and we're learning all about the solar system through a virtual lab, okay? So you have access to many Phet simulations as well when it comes to utilizing Nearpod to deliver any lessons and enhance that interaction and engagement. And then lastly, because we have 3 minutes left, I'm actually gonna not have you guys do the matching pairs, but please know that I'll model it. This is a great way to check vocabulary, check understandings and concepts. And then of course, as a teacher, I'm able to see how many tries it took my students to get the correct matches, because tries are just as important as that 100%, right? If we had 4 out of 4 matches, but 15 tries, that's important and imperative for me to know as a teacher, even virtually, where I wouldn't be able normally without this platform, to identify if they guessed or if they just really know the content, okay? So the tries are just as important as the matches. And then we've got a draw it tool. Feel free that you don't have to have fun with this, but this is just a graphic organizer I put as an image on the back. And the reason why I wanted to show you guys this is because this can be used for lots of things. Normally this would be a whiteboard, in which case you can see on the right-hand side as a student, I am drawing. But again, I could have this be a graphic organizer where I actually type my answers into each blank. I can also have it be a means to where I put maybe in the background a paragraph, and I'm having my students critical think, and they're annotating with highlighting and writing and underlining. So the draw it board is so awesome. Look at you, Catherine. I love this Venus, Earth. Yes, I am actually seeing in progress my students working virtually from my house. I'm seeing my kiddos working, and I'm able to see who's done and who has submitted versus who is not done and who hasn't submitted. So again, we're getting that real-time data. And then of course, now that I see Jackie has submitted, I can actually share her response. And we can now talk about great practices or maybe address misconceptions. And of course, I know as a teacher it's Jackie, but I can also hide that and make it all asterisks. But my students on the right-hand side, it's anonymous. So Jackie now feels really important because I've chosen her work to share. But on top of that, I can also make sure that I share lots of other students' responses, but I'm also able to see who exactly might need some additional support. Okay, so there goes a lot of our awesome formative assessments. Now we have about 1 minute left, and so I do want to let you know that with this 1 minute, there are a couple things that you need to know. Not only are you getting real-time data, but you're also able to get post-session reports. So here I am showing you what it looks like as a teacher from the PDF standpoint of post-session reports that you can also get when you actually end a session, okay? So you can always go back to these reports and download them, share them with a parent, share them with a co-teacher. And then of course, you can also, if you like data and you want to manipulate the data and certain things are more important to you than others, you can also download it as a CSV file. So there you go, there you have it. There is Nearpod in a nutshell in 20 minutes. There's so much more I wish I could have shown you, but I would love to provide you with some freebies. So then you can always come back to me and ask me questions, and I will definitely make sure to put in the chat my email, and you definitely can ping me, and I'd be more than happy to walk through all of Nearpod and vocabulary whenever you decide to use your gold free license and your vocabulary light license. So here we are. This is what you need. You can literally just copy this code. So you really don't need to take a picture, but if you want, you can take a picture and do the virtual or the actual QR code, but you don't have to. You can just simply grab that code Nearpod-ScIC. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead and take a screenshot as well. If you miss the code, don't you stress. We will make sure to put it with the post email after this conference. We will definitely put it in there so that you have that no matter what. You can also download, yes, Rebecca, thank you. You can download the PDF. If you actually click and see, I can download this right here. using the download button from the student perspective? Awesome. And we will make sure that you definitely have this code in the post-session email.
Marcella, you're so great. That was fantastic.
That was rapid fire, I tell you. There's still so much I wish I could have shown them, but you know what? Next time.
Next time. Yeah, okay. Next time, let's do it again. Can you unshare your screen?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. You warned me too that I would forget to do that, and here I did.
I know. Everybody does. I just say it automatically.
That's awesome.
In my script, actually. And I see Bianca, you're on there answering questions. Thank you. I really appreciate that. So thank you very much, Bianca. You're doing my job for me. So you're making my job much easier because then I can ask more interesting questions. You're getting the bulk of them. A couple things. Marcella, again, that was great. I love your energy. And it's late in the day. By the way, we have people here in Asia who it's probably, I'm going to guess, 6 in the morning. They've been up since midnight.
Oh my gosh.
So we probably have people in the EU. It's just amazing. Yeah, look, you'll see people here from crazy places. So I think they appreciate your energy. You helping keeping them awake.
Yay! Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us so early in the morning. Gosh, you guys are troopers. Again,
Australia, holy cow.
Oh, South Africa. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
amazing.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really, really great. So a couple of questions. I thought there was an interesting one that I think is important. There's this several questions about synchronous versus asynchronous.
Yes.
So somebody's disconnected. So what happens? Just simply what happens?
Yeah, great question. No. So the simple answer is synchronous lessons simply mean that you as a teacher are in control of when your students can move forward in the lesson. So however you want to do that, if you want to use a web conferencing tool like we are right now, Zoom, Meets, Teams, whatever you decide to use with your students, where all your students join that meeting and you can see their cute faces, that is when you would probably do a synchronous or a teacher-paced live lesson, which just means that you're setting the pace. Anytime you want to move forward, you can move forward. So if those kiddos are having way too much for fun during virtual reality field trips, you can take them out of that virtual reality field trip just as quick as you put them into that field trip. When it comes to asynchronous lessons or learning, that just means that you are not in control as a teacher. That means that the students are setting their own pace. They can take breaks. Maybe you have a due date of that lesson that's due next week on Wednesday. So they can log in tonight, do the first 2, maybe slides or 3 slides, and then maybe stop, come back to it on Friday, do a couple more slides. They're in complete control of the pace in which they accomplish and finish their lesson. Hopefully that explained it.
I think that is what people were looking for. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
And I saw a lot pop up. Bianca might have answered it, but MS Teams?
Yes, Microsoft Teams. Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, integration is...
Yeah, we've got integrations with Microsoft Teams, Google Meets, Zoom integration. I think that's all of them. But I do want to let you guys know that technically when I say integrations, that I would say, let me take that back actually. We just actually partnered and have integrations with Zoom. So we can definitely launch a live lesson through the Nearpod app with Zoom. It's a brand new feature. It's not out yet, so don't tell my boss I just told you that's coming. But when it comes to any web conferencing platform, so whatever type of video conferencing tool you normally use, Nearpod can work with that, because at the end of the day, Nearpod is not attached to the web conferencing tool. It's its own platform where your students are going to enter in that code that I gave you. Remember how at the very beginning we had to enter in that 5-digit code? It's like it was SEL, West Virginia. So they're going to enter in that code. And so it doesn't really matter what web conferencing tool you're completely with. We will partner with them just fine.
Okay, great. I think that's a great answer. We're seeing a lot more Microsoft Teams. This is new. You rewind about a year. Mm-hmm. It wasn't as many. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing, but quite a few more schools using that.
Yes, definitely. Us too. Mm-hmm.
There's a good question about tutorials. I bet there's a lot of just YouTube tutorials from teachers online.
Yes,
And then you probably have your own library of tutorials.
So you know what? When it comes to tutorials, there are tons. We actually have a full-on, we call it a playlist, that's on our YouTube channel that has tons of tutorials that walk you through step-by-step how to create a lesson, how to use Google Slides or PowerPoint integrations, how to insert specific engaging features. But I don't have it on the fly right now with you to put into the chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it to Dave, and then in that nice email, I'm sure in the section where it says Nearpod and we provide you with the free gold code, we'll also provide you with tons of resources. We've got landing pages that are specific to how to use Nearpod with distance learning, YouTube pages. So we'll provide you with those resources so you can use that to your benefit.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And by the way, I've been telling this to everybody because there's questions we'll never get to. There's the ScIC conference Facebook group. You are welcome to join, Bianca. Welcome
Perfect.
to join. And that's a lot. You'll see every day I see a few posts, teachers looking for resources. And, that's for, people like you to chime in and say, here's what we're doing, what's available.
Yeah.
So this is great to know. So I would say you're welcome to stick around, by the way. I've been telling, you probably have to go.
No, I'm fine. I've actually been seeing lots of questions in the chat right now, just currently that I'm watching, and we're getting lots of questions with LMS integrations. And so I'd love to clear that up. If you guys use Schoology, Google Classroom, Canvas, we do integrate with your LMS. So that means that you can take your Nearpod lessons and you can just immediately push them out through that learning management system. So you don't have to do the code that we were doing today, because when you push out the assignment, it's going to be a link like any other assignment you do in Schoology or Google Classroom or Canvas. And students click on that link and then it prompts them to enter in their name and they're already in your lesson. So we do integrate with those LMSs. We also integrate with ClassLink. And then when it comes to any other LMSs that you think, oh gosh, she didn't rattle that name off, it's probably because it's late in the day and I've been up early, so I'm missing some. But on top of that, you can definitely just, if I were able to share my screen, is that okay if I do that real quick, Dave?
Yeah, please.
Perfect. I'll share my screen really quickly. So right here as a teacher on my screen, when I click on this little code here, notice down below, these are the options in which you can share an assignment to your students. You can share via an email and it sends them an email with the link. You can share via social. You can just actually copy the link, and I could have pasted this into the chat for my students to click on. You can share through Google Classroom, Remind, and Microsoft Teams. So those are just the natural integrations we have, but at any point in time, I can just copy this link and then I can put it into Class Dojo or any other LMS that you might not see right here for my students.
Great explanation. I think that covered. And again, if there's more questions, take them to the conference. And Marcella and Bianca, feel free to stay on as panelists and answer chat questions. We're going to go to a break in about a minute or two.
Perfect.
You're welcome to stay on and answer.
I'm totally fine. I will stay on for sure, and I will make sure to monitor the chat for the next 10 minutes until the next person goes. So no problem. I'll be here and I'll answer as many as I possibly can.
Fantastic. And we're going to, that's great. Hey, there's one last question I'd like to squeeze in. I saw come through, actually a couple of people, putting students in groups. Is that I don't think you showed that, but is there functionality for that?
Yeah, great question. So when it comes to putting students in groups, if you're wanting to have like groups within a web conferencing tool like Zoom or Google Meet Hangouts, or gosh, it's Google Meets now, not Hangouts. They switched it up on me, so I can't even remember, or Microsoft Teams, you can definitely do that. And I can help you guys as well because I'm pretty well versed in all the different video conferencing tools. When it comes to Nearpod, we don't actually group people into groups, but what you can do is you can deliver and provide different codes to different groups. So if you have decided like, oh my gosh, on my LMS, like for Google Classrooms, for instance, if I have my kids in period 1, and then also my period 1 is put into group A, group B, group C, based off skill level or whatever you want, reading levels, I can give the same lesson, but I can launch it with 3 different codes. So then I'm breaking my data and my reports to have specific reporting or submissions by group. So you can definitely do it that way, providing the same lesson using different codes. Or you can differentiate, and if you guys have students of different skill level, you can provide multiple lessons with multiple different codes at the same time. So it's just the code attaches to the lesson, and then you can provide that to whichever group of students you would like.